President Biden, meanwhile, doubling down on his massive spending push after a dismal jobs report just last week. The economy, you'll remember, when we got that jobs report Friday, showed just 235,000 added jobs during the month, far below expectations. This as more than 10 million jobs remain open in this country. That is a record, including some 4 million that opened in the last year. Let's bring in former Labor Secretary Eugene Scalia. Sir, welcome. Thanks for being here. I saw your piece in the Wall Street Journal. I said, we've got to get you on to explain this situation to us because you are writing in that Wall Street Journal piece, Biden's policies will hurt America's laborers in the long run. You say maybe paying people not to work and punishing employers isn't so great for the job market. Explain.
Yeah, it's not a good recipe. Pleasure to join you today. Yes, the $300 federal unemployment supplement did end yesterday. That was a program when we first entered the pandemic. It made sense. We had many states, localities preventing people from work, and we had massive unemployment, and some special intervention made sense. And I supported even continued intervention after the initial CARES benefit expired last summer. But by the time President Biden took office, it was clear that we had a strong economic recovery underway. We had actually a low number of layoffs. The $300 benefit was no longer needed. It was time for it to end. You know, under President Obama, during the Great Recession, when he came into office, the federal unemployment plus up was $25 a week. But we had $300 a week, and it was time to end. There are a number of factors that are keeping people out of work. Obviously, the coronavirus is the most significant. But there have been some number of people that have been making more not working than they were getting working, as many as 40%. And so I think ending that benefit will be one step forward toward putting people back to work. But at the same time, my law clients, for example, are worried about the regulatory program that the Biden administration is putting in place, which is quite aggressive, as well as tax hikes. Under the last administration, under President Trump, we saw very large and unexpected job growth, which I think many of us believe was a result of lowering taxes, reducing regulation, and had great benefits for American workers. We're now headed in a very different direction.
It's that business-friendly environment that we're always talking about that we want to see in this country, no matter what party is in the White House. Your piece, though, you go on to say, the evidence is mounting of potentially long-term job loss in two states where taxes are highest, regulation most onerous, and pandemic restrictions have been most severe. There is a lesson for Mr. Biden in the experience of the home states of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. California and New York, obviously, although it is unlikely the lesson will be learned. That's a fair enough point, because in your piece, you look back at history and the impact these extended benefits have had on the jobs market. So is anybody watching? Is anybody paying attention so we don't repeat those mistakes?
Well, you'd hope, but I can't give you that assurance. So when President Biden came in, it was less than a year that we had this extraordinary job market with 50-year record low unemployment, with amazing job growth, and lower wage workers were the primary beneficiaries. We saw wage growth across the board, but especially for lower wage workers. So I think if President Biden had thought pragmatically, he would have said, boy, that was good back there pre-pandemic. I'm going to get back there. That's going to mean lower regulation, lower tax. But he has charged off in the opposite direction. It does concern the people that create jobs for us. Yeah. And as I mentioned, New York, California, very high unemployment rates, 7.6%, close to 2.5 points higher than the national average. Why? Well, I believe it's not just lockdowns. I believe it's longer term economic policies that have stifled growth, but they're policies that are now being urged on the president by, Chuck Schumer of New York and Speaker Nancy Pelosi of California.
It's interesting. We've had a massive shift in workplace culture. Obviously, the philosophy and the thinking of the working men and women in this country. There's a lot to be taken in there. I know that's why some are questioning the Wall Street Journal analysis. Their headline states that cut unemployment benefits saw limited impact on jobs growth. So that is interesting. That's not as obvious as we might think. But yet those same economists that came to that conclusion said it's going to take some time, perhaps years, to really know the effects of these long-term unemployment checks that have been going out. Goldman Sachs thinks it's been having a direct impact. So a lot to take in there. We thank you for taking us through it, Mr. Secretary. I appreciate your time this afternoon.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.